Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Was the King of Gambling, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Naruto and Kakashi were in front of the escorts, also in front of the Raikage's escorts, who were in front of the huge man, ready to defend him. Their eyes widened, however, when they saw who they were facing off against. The Card Shark and Sharingan no Kakashi. We are here to talk, Mifune said, glaring at the ninjas. Please refrain from such displays of rudeness. Stand down, Naruto, Kakashi, Tsunade said, getting smiles from her ninjas, who nodded and blurred up into the stands again. You too, Kankuro, Baki, Temari said, and her ninjas did the same. Ow, Chujuro, it's alright, Mizukage told her ninjas, who nodded and went up to the stands, while the Iwa ninjas headed upstairs when Tsuchikage jerked his head. When everyone was seated, Raikage glared at the other cages. Konoha, Iwa, Suna, Kiri. Akatsuki is made up from missing nin from your villages. And that. He was interrupted when Naruto blurred down again, sitting down in front of Tsunade as he covered his fan. Why are you stuck in the past, Raikage-sama? The other cages looked at him, Tsuchikage glaring when he noticed who he was. What are you talking about, boy? Akatsuki. Why are you all arguing about an organization that no longer exists? What do you mean, no longer exists? Mizukage asked, furrowing her brow in confusion. I have received no such information. I guess no one decided to spread the news, Naruto said, smiling. Then, he held up his hands, showing off his Akatsuki rings. A few months ago, I destroyed the Akatsuki. All in one go, I might add, Tsunade added, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That's impossible, Tsuchikage yelled, glaring. Akatsuki is made up of 9 S-rank ninjas. Naruto smirked and reached into his coat, taking out a 3-pronged kunai. Ever hear of the Hiraishin, Tsuchikage-sama? The other cages gaped at Naruto. Another Konoha ninja able to use the Hiraishin. And Konoha's Card Shark at that. That's still impossible, Raikage roared, glaring fiercely at Naruto. My brother was KPED by Akatsuki just a few days ago. Unlikely, Naruto said, chuckling. I met B a few days ago when I was heading back home to Konoha, he said and reached into his coat, taking out a pair of sunglasses. I won these from him in a game of poker. The Raikage stared at the sunglasses for a few seconds, before snapping. That jackass. He used it as an excuse to leave the village and gallivant about. I won't let him get away with this. You should have figured that out already, Naruto said, scratching his head. After all, B told me he forgot to leave signs of a struggle. Anyway, didn't you call this meeting to discuss an alliance, Raikage? Tsunade asked, raising an eyebrow. Or did you lie to get us here? A little bit of both, actually. The Raikage was about to continue, when the building suddenly shook, and a crack formed in the wall. Naruto sniffed the air, and his eyes widened, just in time for the wall to shatter, and a snake came flying at him, knocking straight into his chest and sending him flying through the opposite wall. Naruto! Tsunade yelled, and headed of the hole in the wall, only for a purple shield to appear in front of the hole. Can't have you joining the battle, Tsunadeheim, came a voice from inside, making Tsunade's eyes widen. The Raikage growled and slammed his fist into the wall, crumbling it, to find Orochimaru standing in the next room, a purple shield protecting him from outsiders, with Naruto on the floor in front of him, rubbing his chest. Ow! Naruto muttered, before shooting to his feet, his fan already covering his face. Yo! Orochi-kun, what's up? Orochimaru twitched in annoyance at the name, before smirking. It's a shame, Naruto-kun, but I've come to KU. Perfect, I've been waiting for an opportunity. Naruto exclaimed, and turned toward Tsunade. Oi, Ba-chan, watch closely, will ya? I'll show you something super cool. He flashed her 2 thumbs up. Super cool, Ba-chan. Tsunade sweet dropped. Focus on your opponent, you fool. TCH, fine. Naruto said as he turned back to Orochimaru. Shall we get started? Before Orochimaru had even started to respond, Naruto's hands shot up, and he formed hand seals at a fast rate, ending in a snake seal. Mokuton, Daijuran no Jutsu, wood element, great forest technique. He exclaimed, and shot out with his arm, as several wooden pikes grew out of his arm, shooting off toward Orochimaru, who went wide-eyed. He hadn't been expecting that. However, he jumped out of the way, forming hand seals as well. Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu, fire element, grand fireball technique. Orochimaru exclaimed as he blew a huge ball of fire out of his mouth, sending it flying toward Naruto, engulfing him. Suddenly, Naruto appeared behind the Snake Man, hitting him in the temple with his bow staff, sending him flying. He didn't give him time to recuperate, however, as he flashed away in an all-too-familiar yellow flash, making the watching cage's eyes widen, along with the other ninjas watching. Without the kunai, Kakashi exclaimed as Naruto appeared to be playing table tennis with Orochimaru, flashing back and forth and kicking the pale Sannin. How's that possible? No idea, Tsunade muttered, while the others just gaped. Haraishin, the Tsuchikage muttered, his eyes wide in disbelief. Naruto flashed 10 times, and appeared a few feet behind Orochimaru, who suddenly screamed in pain as his body was SD up, spraying blood over the floor. He fell to his knees, drawing raspy breaths. Why you bastard, he hissed, while Naruto merely turned to him, smiling, though he was panting a little. Man, that's really draining, you know. He sighed as he formed a few more hand seals, ending in snake. Suddenly, wooden spikes shot out of the ground, and Orochimaru was forced to dodge, jumping to the side, but due to the pain he was in, he was forced to roll as his knees gave out, just in time for a wooden spike to pass through the air where his head had been just a millisecond before. Damn, Naruto muttered as he watched Orochimaru get up, seemingly no longer bothered by his injuries. You're gonna pay for that, you little brat. Orochimaru muttered, while Naruto just laughed. I took out the entire Akatsuki by myself, Oro-chan. What could you do? He asked as he flashed away, appearing in the air behind Orochimaru, his bow staff extended. The purple cage was suddenly filled with dust as Naruto rammed his bow staff into Orochimaru's en, slamming him into the ground. Once the dust cleared, the spectators could see Naruto standing over Orochimaru, though you couldn't see the snake Sannin's head, which was buried under the ground, with the bow staff pushing it down. Suddenly, a sword shot out of the ground, heading straight for Naruto's heart. Reacting quickly, Naruto jumped to the side, landing several feet away with a raised eyebrow. The sword retracted into the ground, and soon, Orochimaru stood up, pulling his head out of the ground. Before Naruto had the chance to speak, Orochimaru let out a hissing roar as his body started bulging. Naruto just stood there, wide-eyed, as Orochimaru's body grew into a long, snake-like body, consisting of hundreds of small, white snakes. Now, Naruto had to whistle. Wow, you're not even human anymore, are you? Orochimaru, swallowed by rage, didn't respond. Instead, he just charged Naruto head-on, not thinking about what he was doing. Naruto just sighed as he held out his hand, a Rasengan already formed. Also charging, he slammed the Rasengan into Orochimaru's nose. Now, Orochimaru made a sound. He let out an agonized shriek as the Rasengan tore his face apart, before blasting him away, into the purple barrier, which set him on fire, turning him to ash in a matter of seconds. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as he walked over to his bow staff, picking it up and folding it, before stuffing it into his coat again, this time taking out 4 cards. He charged them with chakra, and spun 360 degrees, letting the cards fly. The cards passed right through the barrier, hitting each of the 4 Oto ninjas in the corners, holding it up. As they all let out choked cries of pain from the cards lodged in their TS, they fell to the ground, letting the barrier drop. When he walked up to the stunned cages, he grinned. I know what you're all thinking right now. You're all thinking, did he just take down one of the most dangerous criminals in the world without breaking a sweat? He guessed, chuckling as he took out his fan, flicking it open and covering his face. The answer is yes. Yes, I did. When he saw that no one had moved, he cleared his tea. Well, should we continue with the meeting? This got them all moving again. The next day, they were eager to agree to the alliance, Naruto said, his face covered by his fan as Kakashi, Tsunade and he were heading towards Konoha again. After Naruto's display of SK, Tsunade had suggested the five-village alliance, and they were all quick to agree. If anything, that had just managed to inflate Naruto's ego even more, if that was even possible. So, as they walked through the gates of Konoha, Naruto flashed away, leaving many people in awe as they saw it. He reappeared inside his house, sitting in his chair in the dining room, with his feet up on the table, yawning. Only then did he realize that his family was at the table, staring at him with wide eyes. "Oh, hello," he said as he waved cheerfully. Everyone just stared at him, slack-jawed. He raised an eyebrow. "What? Did you just use the Hiraishin?" Kushina asked, getting a grin from Naruto. "Maybe." Deciding to ask later, Kurenai cleared her tea. "So, how was the Cage Summit?" "Oh, you know, the usual," Naruto said with a shrug. They argued, Orochimaru attacked, I ked him with style, and scared the cages into agreeing to form an alliance. Once again, the occupants of the table went slack-jawed. Naruto just set his eyes on a dish. Ooh, dango. As he started digging into the food, the others followed shortly after, all of them deciding to get details from Naruto later. "Oh," Anko said suddenly, smiling. "In other news, I'm pregnant." Everyone went slack-jawed again, including Naruto. A thud was heard, and Naruto was found on the floor, passed out. The next day, Naruto, Tsunade and Jiraiya were sitting in a bar in southern Konoha, all three of them spaced. I don't get it. Naruto slurred, barely keeping his eyes open. It's too much. First, the summit, then Orochimaru, and now this. I'm too young to be a father, aren't I? Tsunade shrugged, as did Jiraiya. You're never too old, brat, or too old. Well, I says held on. Wanna have a baby at this age, I can tell you that, Jiraiya muttered, getting a nod of agreement from Tsunade. That's true, but I just said that you're never too old, I never said that you wanted to have kids at this age. How about a game of poker? Naruto asked, reaching into his coat to take out a deck of cards. Jiraiya and Tsunade grinned. Finally, they'd be able to beat Naruto, since he was drunk. Too bad they didn't think about the fact that they were drunk as well. So, the next day, Naruto woke up in his living room, on the couch, hungover and red-eyed. Next to him was a pile of clothes, Jiraiya's and Tsunade's. Remembering everything the two bet yesterday, Naruto chuckled merrily as he got off the couch, heading toward the kitchen, going to make coffee. He hummed a slow tune as he sat on his porch, a cup of coffee in his hand as he watched Misao and Gaara walk by. He waved at them, and they waved back. There was something he'd forgotten. He was sure of it. He just couldn't remember. So, later that day, he was surprised to find people smiling and congratulating him. And it wasn't because Anko was pregnant, that was for damn sure. So, why were they congratulating him? Hey, congratulations, Namikaze-sama. An old shopkeeper, one of the ones who'd always been kind to him, said as he waved at Naruto. I always knew you could do it. Ah, yeah, Naruto said, smiling as he waved back, though he had no idea what the man was talking about. Then, when he got to the Hokage Tower, he got an answer as to why people were congratulating him. The guards outside the tower stood at attention as he approached. Good morning, Hokage-sama. They exclaimed in unison, and Naruto just nodded a greeting back as he entered. Then, as he headed up the stairs, he stopped, as memories of Tsunade's last bet assaulted him mind. I bet the Hokage TLE, brat. You deserve it. Naruto stood there, blinking, then. Holy S. Epilogue. Senju Uzumaki Namikaze Naruto, now 30, the Rokudaime Hokage, was sitting in his office in the Hokage Tower, sipping sake and reading a report, while three Kage Bunshin were off to the side, doing most of the paperwork. Hatake Kakashi, requesting permission to retire, instead of taking on another team. Denied, one clone said, looking up. Another looked up. Denied. Denied, the last clone said, and Naruto nodded, picking up a red stamp and stamping, denied, onto the docent, before picking up another one. Uchiha Sasuke, requesting permission to rebuild the Konoha military police force. It won't harm our budget, the first clone said and shrugged. Granted. 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 Naruto nodded again and picked up a green stamp, this time stamping, granted, onto this docent. He put it away and picked up another docent, one that made his eyes widen. Senju Uzumaki Namika's Misao, requesting permission to marry Sabaku no Gara. Denied. The three clones exclaimed in unison as they shot to their feet. Then, one of the clones put a hand on his chin. Then again, they're expecting a baby. It'd be good if they were married before it was born. And we'd get a new brother-in-law. Naruto's eyes widened as he heard the clones talk to each other, and a grin appeared on his face. Hey, guys. The clones turned to him, puzzled looks on their faces. You know what that means. The clones stared for a while. Then, their eyes widened as well, and all four blondes grinned like Cheshire cats. Bachelor party. They all laughed loudly as Naruto picked up his green stamp, and stamped, granted, onto the paper 5 times. Stiespers. Booze. Part. The third clone was interrupted when a knock was heard on the door. With a mental command from Naruto, the three disappeared. Come in. The door opened, and his wife Anko stepped in, along with their 11-year-old son. Senju Yahiko had spiky hair, like his father, only it was purple, like his mother's. He stood at 4 feet 9 inches, and had a eating grin on his face and, unlike his father, only one whisker line on each cheek. His right eye was Naruto's blue, while his left eye was Anko's brown. When nudged by his mother, Yahiko lost his grin, and stood up straighter. Senju Yahiko, here to accept punishment, he said, and Naruto grinned, sitting down in his chair. Morning, Yakun. Morning, Anko-chan, he exclaimed as he waved at the two. Then he realized what Yahiko had said, and raised an eyebrow. What did you do? Not much. He was standing in the middle of the street, selling pictures of you, from our vacation in spring, to women, Anko said, making Naruto twitch. Fangirls, he muttered as he stood up, slowly walking over to Yahiko, who gulped. Yakun, what have I told you? Not to feed the fangirls. And what did you do? I fed the fangirls. Naruto smiled and patted Yahiko on the head. It'll be cleaning the monument for you. Or, man. Yahiko pouted and stuck his hands into his pocket, glaring down at the floor. I'm a ninja now. I shouldn't have to do crap like this. Naruto chuckled. You're a genin. You'll only do crap like this, he said with a grin, getting an identical grin from Anko, who leaned towards him and gave him a quick kiss. Don't be late tonight, love, she said as she started leading Yahiko out of the office. The whole family finally has a day where everyone is in the village. It's time for a family dinner. Naruto nodded with a smile and went back to his desk, sitting down and ceaselessly creating 3 cage bunshin, all of whom went to work immediately. Nothing could keep me from a family dinner. One's all we've had this year so far, right? One clone asked, and Naruto nodded. Then, his eyes widened a fraction, and he reached for his sake, taking a sip. Tomorrow, all right. A chuckle was heard from the window, and Naruto turned his chair to find Uchiha Madara, sometimes known as Toby, sitting there, sitting in a lazy position with his elbows resting on his knees. All right, I guess I can do that. Interrupting a family dinner wouldn't be very nice, would it? Madara asked, obviously smiling under his mask. He was no longer acting like the playful Toby, like he'd done when Naruto first met him. He was more serious, and his voice was darker. However, he was more polite than usual. And I think our fight would take all day. Feeling nostalgic, Naruto asked, getting a nod from Madara. A life and death battle with a Senju. It's been over 50 years. I kinda miss those days. There was less corruption. We fought to the death in the battlefield, and not amongst each other. Rumor has it, you, yourself, was corrupted by greed. Could you blame me? Madara asked, shrugging. The Sharingan is the most powerful dojutsu in the world. The Uchiha were, and still are the greatest bloodline users in the world. Too bad being the greatest bloodline user doesn't mean you're the strongest ninja. Madara nodded sadly. They sat in silence for a while, before Naruto spoke. You ever wonder what it'd been like if you hadn't left? Well, the Valley of the End wouldn't exist, that's for sure, Madara said, and they both shared a chuckle. I think about it every day, Naruto-kun, he said as he got up, ready to leave. But I wouldn't go back and change it, even if I could. I figured as much, Naruto said with another chuckle as he got out of his chair. Same time tomorrow, then. Tomorrow, Madara said with a nod, before vanishing. That night, Naruto was sitting in the great dining room on the first floor of his mansion. Around the table was Sasuke, now a Junin, known as the Demon Eyes of Konoha, Jiraiya, who, despite being beaten hundreds of times, still hadn't suffered a fatal heart attack, Kushina, Misao, now a Chunin, Gaara, a Junin, Anko, Mai and Kurenai. Also among them was the kids, Yahiko, Tanuki, Taka, Hizuran and Minato. Tanuki was Naruto and Anko's second son. He was 1 year younger than Yahiko, and had purple hair tied into a pineapple shape, like his mother, and blue eyes and whisker marks like his father. Taka and Hizuran were Naruto and Kurenai's children. They were 9-year-old identical twins, both of them with spiky, black hair and red eyes. They also had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Minato was named as such, because he, Mai and Naruto's 6-year-old son, had spiky, blonde hair, and sky blue eyes, just like the Yondaime, and unlike Naruto, he didn't have any whisker marks. Sadly, Sarutobi had SD 6 years prior, from a lung disease that not even Tsunade could cure, which was the reason why Hizuran was named as such. When Sarutobi was diagnosed, Kurenai and Naruto promised that they'd name their first son after him, in honor of one of the greatest Hokages to ever live, Sarutobi Hizuran. Sarutobi fought on for 4 years, so that he could see the twins be born, and was allowed to name the other twin. He chose Taka. Sarutobi SD with a smile on his face, taking a nap on Naruto's porch with the twins in his lap. Naruto looked around the table and smiled. He'd gained a big family. What's wrong, Two-san? Hizuran asked, or maybe it was Taka. Naruto wasn't sure. You look like you've been given a death sentence, or something. Are you sing? Naruto laughed loudly, patting his son on the head. A clockwise swirl in his hair. This was Taka. Don't worry, Taka. I won't until all of you are married. Then I might decide to kick the bucket. Suddenly, he was bopped on the head by Tsunade, who had just come out of the kitchen. Despite being called Daiba-chan, great-grandma, by the kids, she couldn't hate them for it. She loved her great-grandchildren. Stop trying to dissuade your children from getting married one day. Naruto grumbled. Is this how you treat your loving Hokage? He cleared his tea and grinned at Taka again. Don't worry, son. I won't anytime soon. You better not. Yahiko exclaimed from the other end of the table. If you who's gonna teach me the Rasengan? Everyone laughed at the eldest Senju son. Jiraiya was about to speak up, when Yahiko suddenly stood up, pointing at the old L. I'm not getting taught by that old fart. He gets even more L-ed with age. Is this how you treat a great ninja like me? Jiraiya roared, standing up. You sang a different tune when I got you your birthday presents. Of course I did. I had just graduated from the academy, you old fart. Nothing could bring me down that day. Suddenly, Jiraiya was bopped on the head by Tsunade, while Anko smacked the back of Yahiko's head. The two didn't raise their voices for the rest of the evening. Hey, Two-san. Naruto looked down at his youngest, Minato, and smiled. Yes, son. You'll teach me tomorrow, right? Minato asked with a hopeful look on his face. I'm sorry, Minato, but something came up. I'll be busy all day tomorrow. But I'll train you the day after. Promise? Minato asked, pouting. Naruto stared at Minato for a few seconds, before grinning widely. Promise. The next day, Naruto was sitting on the Shodai's head in the Valley of the End. Suddenly, Madara appeared on the head of his own statue. They nodded a greeting to each other. Ready for this, Naruto-kun? As ready as I'll ever be, Naruto said as he reached into his coat, taking out his bow staff and extending it. Let's get started, shall we? I promised to train Minato tomorrow, and I'd like to get home early so I can get some sleep before the training. Madara nodded, and the two charged each other, Naruto with his bow staff, and Madara with a kunai. I won't Naruto thought with a smile as they clashed. After all, I made a promise. The end. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.